Prepare for the strangest love story ever told. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer. Every tagline, all of his movies, horrible. It's my biggest takeaway from watching all 9 of his fucking movies. They all have terrible taglines. Yeah, this is my 9th episode watching all of Rob Zombie's movies. And this week I'm talking about The Munsters with Sheridan.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, it was going better till I had to watch this movie.
Uh,
Yeah, I hated this when it first came out, and I still hated it. It went up a little bit for me from a half star to a 1 star, but
okay.
I don't know. Something about this movie aggravated the shit out of me.
I mean, we'll talk about it, but I'm afraid I might be spending this episode being this movie's defender a little
Hey,
bit
that's fine because I did not expect it, but that's what I've become for most of his movies. So, like,
yeah,
I went into it being like, God, I'm gonna fucking hate this so much. And
yeah,
really, outside of, like, 31, I've at least found, like, things in all of them that I've, like, been able to be like, hey, this is, you know what, I'll back this. Like,
yeah.
his animated movie is brutally unfunny, but it looks good. 3 from Hell, I actually thought was kind of decent, despite the fact that it just doesn't need to exist.
Yeah, agreed.
Because
I agree with
it's
that.
literally just the Devil's Reject story told again, but like slightly different.
Yep,
And
yep.
I've always been a defender of his Halloween 2 for being like a real weird swing that I respect him like taking on as a Halloween story, because it's unlike almost every other Halloween movie, and I appreciate it for that. But like overall, I was like, I used to be that person that was like, man, fuck Sherry Moon. Stop casting your wife. And now I'm like, you know what? She's doing pretty good.
I have to say that this movie specifically, I really think that she's appropriate
Yeah, I think she's
in,
my favorite
yeah,
part of this entire movie. There's that, and
I,
there's one
yeah.
joke in this very specifically that caught me that I was like cracking up at, and it's when Herman first comes to her house and is yelling at I don't know his name, just
Yeah,
the
the
count.
count.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They're yelling back and forth, and then all of a sudden the count is like face to face with him, and Herman keeps yelling.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God.
I was like, yep, that's good. I can back that. uh, so,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
guess
We'll talk about it.
yeah. Before we dive into it like fully, what's your history with old Robert Zombert?
Okay. So obviously Dracula is like my earliest memory, probably, of Rob Zombie. Uh, and and then I watched House of a Thousand Corpses like when it came out, like way too young. I saw it way too early, and it scared the fuck out of me. And but it was fine. It was still kind of okay. But then I saw The Devil's Rejects right after that, and that movie to this day, like traumatized, like really
Yeah,
scarred me.
I can see that.
Um, that movie is so fucked up, and I totally respect him for that. Like I do kind of love it for that, but I also hate it. I'm not okay. Like I'm a horror movie fan that likes a little more like grandiose, like I don't know, just a little more fun in my
Sure, yeah.
movies.
That was
And like,
that.
dude, that it's bleak as fuck.
Yeah, that
Like,
was my like the biggest thing. Like I had not watched it in like 20 years. Like because I saw
yeah,
both of them like day one in theaters,
yeah.
and then probably watched them again like on DVD whenever it first came out. But I hadn't seen it forever, and I was like, God damn, I forgot how like relentlessly bleak The
It's
there's
yeah,
one moment of levity in that entire movie, and it's that like ice cream scene, and everything
yeah.
else is just so harsh, and
It
it's
sucks.
wild for like an American movie at that time. Like it was a
There's
studio to
a
release that movie.
Yeah, there's a line in that movie that I will never forget that Bill Moseley says when he's taking he like takes the husband out to the desert and he's gonna like kill him or whatever. And he said he this is after the assault on like the entire
Yeah,
family. And so he's like taking out, spoiler alert for this movie by the way. He takes him out to the desert and Bill Moseley has a gun and he like has it close to his face and he says, I still have your wife's pussy stink
I
on my
know.
gun. Hope it doesn't rust the barrel.
it's it's so wild because like so the first his first four movies, someone basically uploaded like all of the like behind the scenes stuff and like the commentaries for on YouTube. So I
Yeah.
was able to watch those as I was going along, and it's like it's so funny because it's like I always think of Bill Moseley and like doing all of these kind of insane horror roles. And on
Right.
that one, he was like, I hated filming this movie so much because I'm just doing horrendous shit the whole time. And I
Hmm.
guess like that whole motel scene, he was like, I do not want to do this. And the actress that he like assaults in it, I'm like blanking on her name at the moment, had to like pull him to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
side and be like, no, I'm gonna take control of this. This is fine. I'm completely comfortable. This'll be good or whatever. And like that was the only way he was like able to even like get through any of that stuff.
I know, it's freaking nuts, dude. Like just to make your cast and he's not the only one that felt that, you
Oh
know?
yeah.
Like there are stories about how like kind of grueling that shooting was because it was so like fucked up.
Yeah, I know like Sherry
So,
said that she took one day off the entire shoot. Like she was there every day except for the day after that scene that she was just like, yeah, I'm
yeah.
taking a day off.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking crazy. So that movie, like after that movie, I was like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna do like any more Rob Zombie movies. But then of course, I ended up seeing Three from Hell and Lords of Salem, and um,
What do you think about Lords of Salem?
I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. But I have to say, I covered it on my podcast that I used to have, and I can't tell you anything about it. I like can't remember. Like I know that Sherry Moon plays like a radio DJ and stuff, and
Right.
obviously like I know there's witches, but like I can't really remember any like story beats because like I don't know. I saw it and I was like, all right, that was cool, and then like I just kind of forgot about
Yeah,
it.
it's like it's a real vibe movie over like substance, I guess. Where
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's as honestly, I think it's the one that if I rewatch any of these anytime soon, it'll be that because I it's like that was one of the two when I started this I hadn't seen. I had not seen that or Three from Hell. And
Mm,
like everyone for years has been like, well, if you're not really into Rob Zombie's other movies, you should watch Lords of Salem.
yeah.
And it's really good. Like it's essentially him doing Kubrick's The Shining. So there's all of these like
Right.
really action like because like all the rest of his movies seem to be shot handheld where they're all like shaky and like all over the place, and that one is
Hmm.
very deliberate, like shots very much like The Shining. But like my biggest issue is like he can't help himself sometimes. So like every time I'm like, oh fuck yeah, this is getting really good. I'm like invested. One of the like cringiest lines of dialogue happens and pulls you out. Or like he can't help but throw like here's a little person in a costume just out
Yep.
of nowhere, and I'm like, God damn it, Rob.
I know. Yeah, I will say I do remember watching that movie and thinking this does not feel like a Rob Zombie movie. Like, I mean, obviously it does because there's like you can familiar faces and things like
And
that.
God
But
forbid
it,
everyone isn't dressed like it's the 70s.
dude, I know. I don't like he needs to stop. Like even in this movie, even in Munsters, there's some choices that I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
just calm
Like
down.
Lords of Salem specifically, someone pulls out a cell phone, but I'm like, okay, but you're all still wearing bell bottoms and fucking tight, thin Lizzie shirts and like whatever. Like, come on.
I kind of just feel like I don't know, that's just how Rob Zombie has dressed for the past like
Right.
35 years. Like,
It's
I
just
don't
like it
know.
drives me crazy because I'm like I've been saying like all the episodes where I'm just like, I wish he would like reach or like do something outside of his wheelhouse because,
Right.
and I mean, like the Munsters, I guess kind of is, but isn't because it's still like horror related,
It's
even
still
though it's
it's
a comedy.
very yeah, it's very Rob Zombie
But
too. Yeah.
like every movie is either, hey, you've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? And
Right.
like everyone is just constantly dressed exactly the same. And like
Yep.
I really want to see him do something outside of like his typical aesthetic and just see what he can do. Because at some point he was like, I had been reading about some of his like unmade projects where like I guess before House of a Thousand Corpses he was going to make a Crow movie that took place in the future, which I can't even fucking fathom after watching all of these movies.
Oh my God.
Like just weird cyberpunk fucking The Crow.
Rob Zombie cyberpunk movie. I could get into that. I
Yeah.
could.
So there was that. He at some point was attached to direct a Groucho Marx biopic, which I would
Whoa.
really like to
Okay.
see. Well, be so. I'm assuming he must be a massive Marx Brothers fan because there's an entire thing in Devil's Rejects and like all of the characters, all their aliases are like Marx Brothers characters.
Oh yeah, that's right. Holy
And
shit.
so I feel like that would have been interesting. He was going to direct like he had an idea from like I guess a story in one of his comic books called Tyrannosaurus Rex that I assumed was a dinosaur movie, but it's actually about a boxer. That
Okay.
he wanted to make this sort of like Raging Bull style like super violent boxing movie, which I think he would do pretty well because he shoots violence pretty well.
Very well. Yeah. I
There
agree.
was like a Broad Street Bullies like 70s hockey movie he was going to make, which again I feel like falls into the same thing. I feel like he'd shoot like hockey violence pretty well. He
Mm-hmm.
I guess at some point was going to like right after Halloween he was going to do a Blob remake that he talked about would not have been like just this big like just a general like gelatinous monster, but it was going to be more along the lines of The Thing where people just slowly melt into the blob, so they would have been like these weird zombie like creatures that just like inevitably ended up as this like goo that I was like I
Okay.
think sounds kind of
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
So he had like
Sounds awesome.
all of these projects and then just ended up like I'll be a defender of his Halloween movies. Like I don't think they're necessarily all great, except I do like Halloween 2, but like they're no worse than like anything in the middle of like anything after fucking Season of the Witch, I think. Like
Yeah, I haven't.
I'd rather watch
Go
his
ahead.
Halloweens than like almost any of the actual regular franchise sequels.
I have not seen Rob Zombie's Halloween movies like since they came out, so I don't. I'd have to go back and watch them because I have heard that I've had heard people reappraise Halloween 2 specifically.
If you
Uh,
watch the director's cut of Halloween 2, it's really interesting because it dives pretty heavily into Laurie's trauma and PTSD.
yeah.
And the ending, instead of just her, being like in an asylum or whatever, all three of Loomis, Michael, and Laurie are killed at the end.
Oh
Because he
shit.
was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm making an ending that, like, the studio can't fucking, like, resurrect these people.
Right.
And so it's
Well,
like,
fucking good on him.
yeah, it's like, oh, I think it's a really interesting take. And, like, I honestly would say it's the third best Halloween movie, I think. Maybe fourth. I don't know. I'd have to reevaluate, like, the 2018, like, reboot or whatever, because I did like that.
Yeah, I reappraised. I went back and I watched all three of those. That like trilogy, the
Right.
most recent one. I watched all three of those like in the last year, and I gotta say, like 2018's great. Halloween Kills kind of sucks, and Halloween Ends, honestly, I like you. I don't know, like you said about Halloween 2, about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Like Halloween Ends took a swing, and I admired it for that. Like the Corey stuff was fucking weird, but like they fucking did something different, and I was like, cool.
Yeah,
Like.
like I can get on board with that. I think it's both. Like I only watched it the one time when it first came out, and I think I just hated the Corey character so much. And I was like, why am I spending so much time with this dude?
Yeah, I can't fault you for that.
Yeah.
He is annoying as fuck. But at least like I don't know, at least they fucking did something crazy and
Yeah.
different. And
I
I was like, oh cool, like soul transference. Like okay, I guess. Like
I think the big thing that like aggravates me is after watching Halloween 2 again is how many people were like, "No, Halloween Kills is the best. He's so violent in this." And I'm just like, "Have you seen the Rob Zombie ones? Like Michael
yeah.
will stab somebody like 8 times after they're dead and like fucking impales somebody on like antler horns and shit and like stomps a dude's head in. Like he is insanely violent and like bursting through walls left and right. Like it rocks. I want to watch a
Yeah.
huge 6'8" Michael Myers just burst through shitty walls of a house all
Hell yeah.
day.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I have to go back and watch those because, like I said, I don't really go back and watch Rob Zombie movies
Yeah.
too often. So,
Like
uh,
the first
yeah,
one is interesting because it's one of those ones where I was watching it and I was like, I can deal without all of the early years Michael Myers stuff.
yeah,
As-
I'm not a fan of that.
Like, so I guess his original idea is he was going to make 2 movies, and like the first one was going to end with young Michael killing his family. And I'm glad he
Oh,
didn't do that, but it is also like 50 minutes before you get to adult Michael Myers in that movie. And
right.
so I'm like, if you cut like 20 minutes out of this, maybe I think I would like it a lot more. But like, I also like not opposed to it, other than the fact that like, I don't need like quote unquote white trash fucking family Halloween.
Yeah, it's the hillbilly horror or
Yeah, it's like
whatever part of it.
the shit he can't
That's
get past. And I like, I did
yeah.
I did one of the episodes with my friend Chris, who's from Massachusetts, which is where like Rob Zombie was born and raised, and he's like, I know the town he was born in and raised in. Like this dude is like the least close to a southern raised person I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's whatever,
It's because
but
he's up.
that
It's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing. I think that literally everything comes down to like he was obsessed with that movie, and so
hmm
everything ties back to that.
Yeah.
Like, and one of the things I've been talking about is like I'm like how has no one been like, hey, just go make a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie? Like none of those
Seriously.
sequels like past 2003 are good. So like, what's
Oh,
the
dude,
harm?
yeah, you can't do worse than the one that came out
That
in like
Netflix one.
2020 or whatever.
Yeah, that one's.
Yeah, or
I
2022.
hated that shit so much.
Dude, I can't even talk about the fact that so many people liked that
Oh, I
movie
know.
is like baffling to me. Yeah.
I'm like that, or like I think I would like to see him do something other than the Munsters with like the famous monsters or whatever. Like I feel like he would make a really weird and probably pretty interesting like mummy movie.
I think that he would make a really cool Creature from the Black
Yeah,
Lagoon
I said
movie.
that too. Where I'm like
Yeah.
like I don't know. They're desperate to do this weird like monsters universe thing still for some
Right.
reason. And so like I don't know, let Rob Zombie make one of them. Just let
Right, and well, and I will like I don't know, I'm not a fan. Okay, a part of the reason why I think I'm more of a fan of his Munsters movie than most is because like I don't normally really like his style of movie, and this
yeah.
is kind of outside of his like typical style where like it's kind of more tame and it's more like it is spooky and like Halloweeny and like vibey, but it's like kind of it's just not as like fucking bleak. And so if he made a movie, like a creature movie that was still fun and cool and like and you can still make it gory or whatever, but just like make it not so fucking sad like or whatever, like not so like heavy. You could just have like a fun, cool, light horror movie that's like just fun.
Well, yeah, and that's the
And
thing
it
is like this fits that. Like Lords of Salem is like spooky, but it's not like
yeah,
overly gory, kind of like
right.
a lot of the other ones are. Like he can clearly do that, and I think like I don't know something about the monsters. Like so number one, I'm not necessarily like I'm ambivalent to the monsters in general.
Oh
Like
sure. Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of the episodes from when I was a kid, but I was never like a thing that I was like, oh, this is like something I love. I just like, I don't know. It's a horror-ish thing, so like I could get down with it, but I'm also like not seeking it out. So when this was announced, I was originally like, ah, great, and we're here fucking Herman Munster call somebody a cocksucker. And
Yeah,
luckily
right.
that doesn't happen. It's I think it's like PG, so it's like it's extremely family friendly, which is surprising. There's like, kind of they do it seems like he does that thing that's very kind of became more prevalent with like I guess SpongeBob, where there's like clearly adult jokes hidden inside this kids show
Right.
that will like go over any child's head, but like you watch as an adult and you're like, oh, I get that now. And so there's
Yeah, right.
kind of some things like that in here, and I think I think if this was in black and white, I would fucking love it.
See, and I hate that shit because Rob Zombie
I
wanted it to
know.
be in black and white so bad. And the studio said no. And this is why studios are fucking evil and they should go away. There should not be any studios. Like,
Oh yeah.
just fucking make your movie the way you want it to. Like, Jesus Christ.
Well, that's the thing that like aggravates me when I hear stories like so very specifically. He has talked a lot about how endlessly frustrating and shitty it was to work with the Weinsteins on the Halloween movies. Which,
Yeah, yeah.
like, he said the first one, they were on his ass the entire time because they're like, this has to be popular, this has to be, like, make money, blah, blah, blah. And so when it came out and it was, like, a huge hit, just, like all of his movies have gotten, like, mixed critical reviews. And
Yeah, yeah.
I don't expect like mainstream critics to be like The Devil's Rejects is a masterpiece or what. Like they're gonna
Right.
fucking shit all over that despite like the consensus being that it's good. So like, it comes out and it makes a bunch of money and like the studio's happy and they get him to come back for Halloween 2, and he was like throughout shooting they would pull me into a room and just show me clips from my first Halloween movie and be like, see, like this. And he'd be like, yeah, motherfucker, I made that movie. I know what's in it. Why are you showing me this?
Jesus
And
Christ.
would like endlessly fuck with him because now they were like, hey, we had a success. We have to keep it going. And he was like, it's like insane. Dealing with these
Hmm.
studios is like a constant fucking headache. And then you get to like the MPAA, which is clearly going to like I think every movie of his except this has gotten an NC-17 the first like couple times he's like submitted it to the MPAA.
Right. That
And
doesn't surprise me.
so it's one of those things where like I I was talking in one of the episodes about how it feels like he's been relegated to this sort of like what is essentially the modern version of like direct to video like hellhole of like only like cuz 31 I think 31 he crowdfunded, and I think it
Oh,
maybe did one of those like Fandango 3-day event screenings or whatever. And I know Three from Hell did that, and then this went straight
right.
to Netflix. So it's like it feels like he's just been relegated to like what would be like direct to DVD shit, like the modern equivalent of it. And I don't know if like he is happy about that because I'm sure he's probably got less studio interference, but like it's also like you're getting way less eyes on your movies than you used to. So I'd be curious to hear him talk about that, but it also doesn't seem like he's had any actual movement on movie stuff since like the Munsters came out.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I was actually wondering if he had any projects lined up at all, or I don't know how the Munsters did. I don't know how you gauge that if you just release it on Netflix. Like,
Yeah, Netflix doesn't
uh,
tell anybody their stats ever. They're just like, hey, it did pretty good. You're just like, I don't know what that
yeah,
means.
yeah, I know it's very divisive on Letterboxd, and just okay, like if you're listening to this episode because you really like the Monsters for some reason, I'm just gonna preface this entire review. The rest of what I say today is just based on the movie only. I've never seen the TV show.
Fair, yeah.
I know about it. I know the theme song. I know, I know what it is, but like I've never seen a second of the show. So I like my whole experience with the Munsters is pretty much just this movie. I know there's like a kid in there somewhere, but he wasn't in the movie. Obviously, this is
Yeah.
like an origin story or whatever. which is fine, but
I
I kind
disagree.
of like, yeah,
I,
actually, yeah.
I,
As soon as I said that, I was like, wait, it's not fine,
I,
actually.
we can go into that after like your like initial thought because like I have a take about that
Oh,
I think could
y-
fix it.
yeah, I think we're both gonna have very strong thoughts of this movie. I'm
Yeah,
very excited.
like I think making it an origin was a mistake, and I think you literally could have just like dove into this where they're already on Mockingbird Lane.
Yeah.
Like if this movie was Elvira, Mistress of the Dark with the Munsters, it would be so good. Where it's like this weird family moves into like a square town and everyone's trying to get them like kicked out, but then they end up turning like the town around and like now they've like, you know, positively impacted people's lives by being like the weirdo in town and now everyone's stoked they're
Exactly.
there. And like then you get because like what I think one of the things the joke that like gets the most play throughout the actual series is they're all monsters, but they're like Herman's niece, like I can't remember her name. That's just like a regular person lives with them, and so all the
Right.
jokes are about how weird she is, even though she's just like a regular human being. And so you don't
Yeah.
have her, you don't have I don't know their names, like the little kid vampire
Yeah, the
played
little
by
son or whatever.
yeah like Butch Patrick, like so you don't get like really any of the like classic monsters like iconography until the last like 10 minutes of the movie. And I'm
Dude,
sure there was ideas of like, all right, we'll do a sequel after this, but like I don't think that's
right.
happening. So
N no, I don't think that's gonna happen. Did they have, do you know in the TV show, did they have like a pet dragon or
yeah,
something?
there's like
Because
a
there's,
something like
okay,
that that lives under the stairs that like the stairs would just like
okay,
pop up and like grandpa would just like throw, you know, something in there for it to eat and like all the smoke would come out
right.
and it would just like close down.
Okay, right, right. That's what I figured. I just, because, there's like this little fucking dragon thing in
Right.
the movie, and I'm like, is this a thing? Or like, I kept like, it's so funny. I kept trying to look for Easter eggs, even though I'd never
You've
seen the
never seen
show.
it.
I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's something. Oh, I wonder if that's a nod. Like, I don't know.
As far as I could tell, almost all of the Easter eggs in this movie related to Rob Zombie's career. Like as to the point
Oh,
that there's like when I think Lily and Count Orlok are on their date at the beginning, they walk past like a
mhm.
sign that says like "Living Dead Girls"
Oh yeah,
and
sure.
just
I saw that
dumbass shit
too.
like that.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like, okay, Rob Zombie.
I'm
Like,
I guess for like the positives for me in this, like
mhm.
I do enjoy the fact that like, well, I don't know. There's a making of for this movie that I was listening to someone like a little mini podcast talk about this, and they were like said that like the behind the scenes thing sucks because it seems like Rob Zombie is fucking miserable, and I was like, I think that's just his demeanor.
Mhm.
But I guess they shot this in like Romania or something, and none
Yeah,
of the
they did.
crew spoke English, so trying to communicate with the crew it just seems like it was a absolute
Oh.
nightmare. So trying like,
Oh.
and it's like one of those things where like I've seen enough like shitty Bruce Campbell movies with like behind the scenes documentaries where they talk about shooting in like the middle of the Soviet Union where like the crew will just be like, yeah, we can do that, and like they actively can't. They just say yes to get the work. And it seems like that's a bit of what this was like. And so I don't know. I think if this was probably made under different circumstances, I feel like maybe it would be a little better, but like
Mhm.
I don't know. It like I had a memory of watching it the first time and remember my memory of it was just everything looks so cheap. And I don't necessarily think that's true. I think a lot of the sets look okay, but there's so many things in it that I'm like if this was in black and white, it would hide like this would look less shitty in black and white. And it's things like when they do Herman and Lily seeing each other for the first time and they do that backlit thing where there's like a light behind him of hearts,
Yes.
or like there was one
Yeah.
with grandpa where there's like a spiral behind him or whatever, and I think I'm like this would
Uh-huh.
look less bad in black and white, I think.
Yeah.
And
And you know what? You could have had those little bits in black and white or
I
something. Like you could have.
even like I feel like I don't know, like I get it, like they make all of the sets and everything is so over the top colorful that I guess if you're
Hmm.
not going to be able to do black and white, like go in that direction. But I think the color makes Herman just look kind of shitty.
I have to agree. I do think that the heavy contrast and the heavy color do make pretty much all of them look pretty silly, like in the daylight. Because there are some
Yeah,
shots where they're shooting like in the daylight, and like you can see the makeup.
right.
Like, I mean, obviously you can see the makeup, but like you can like really tell that
Yeah.
it's like really cheesy and fake. And like I get it, like I mean, the show's sets were probably cheap too. And
Oh yeah.
like I'm sure that like it was intentional to try to make it look like a sitcom. Like Rob Zombie very famously loves this show. So like I know that he put he like really cared about it, and so he wanted it to look like the TV show. But the problem is that when you put that in color, it kind of, like you said, it doesn't hide it, like, black and white like hides some shittiness sometimes, and like putting it in like high contrast, crazy colors is like really putting a putting a magnifying glass on your set, you
Yeah,
know.
I think that was like the big thing when I first watched it. That's what I felt. This time it didn't like. I didn't really have that issue. I think some of the sets look pretty good, but there's just some where I'm just like, yeah, I feel like I feel like if he just had like an extra week to like film
Hmm.
things, I think things would have like evened out a lot better. But I know like it seems like he's like somebody who constantly is just like, well, I have 20 days and that's it to like make this movie. So I got to fucking figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like the studio kind of like almost set him up to fail because like he pretty much couldn't do anything he wanted to, and he couldn't shoot where he wanted to shoot it. And like if he had shot it in LA, the way he wanted to, and in black and white, like who knows? It might have been a little better. But
I
I really like the color though, to be honest. Like
I think
I
well
think it's
I agree in the aspect that like I think it makes all of the sets look a little better. I think my biggest gripe is just Herman's makeup looks shitty in the color.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree. He's r crazy looking in
Yeah.
that. But the actor does a good job. I mean, I know we're kind of jumping all over the
Oh
place,
no,
but
yeah.
like I think that like that would be a good, like on the list of good things about this movie, I would definitely put production design and lighting, because like he kind of went the opposite way that he wanted to, but I do feel like it benefited it. I like the crazy backdrops with the lights, and I love the scene where Lily goes to the show to see Herman, and he's like just fucking up there doing his like little punk rock song, and he's got his little hat on, and it's like that club looks fucking cool as hell. Uh, so there were definitely there's definitely some stuff in there that's like really fucking cool.
Yeah, like one of my other positives is I think Sherry Moon is actually pretty good in this.
I agree.
Like I said, I used to be one of those people that was just like, stop casting your dumb wife and everything. And on all of these rewatches, I'm like, actually, I think Sherry might be good. Like, especially after listening to some of the commentaries where she's like, I don't want to be an actor. I literally only did House of a
Right.
Thousand Corpses because like Rob was like, I'm gonna put you in this movie. It might be the only chance I'm like ever able to make a movie. So like, I want to put you in it. And so she's only done one acting role outside of stuff he's made, and that was like a Toby Hooper movie.
Oh,
So
nice.
so like the fact that she's like remotely watchable in things, and obviously other people are going to disagree with me that she's watchable, but like I think she's surprisingly good in Three from Hell when she's playing like someone who's been in solitary for 10 years and has lost her mind.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
she's act like like some of the movies she doesn't have a lot to do. Like the Halloween movie, she's just there to play Michael's mom, and then like the second one she's like a
Right.
ghost. So she's not really doing a lot, but like I think she's pretty good in this. And I think Three from Hell she's surprisingly good. And like I feel like the only movie I think I would recast her in is like Lords of Salem, where I'm like, I don't know if she needs to be the lead of this movie. Maybe make her one of the
Right.
witches or like a side character, but like she's also like completely fine in that, minus the white girl dreads. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's what makes me hate her characters. I'm like, girl, get rid of these dreads.
I think that so in the Munsters, she has so like the acting style in this movie in general is like very stagey, and it's very like
Yeah.
it's almost like a play. It's almost like you're watching a play. So like it's very over the top, and so you can be that kind of like it's almost like it's bad acting, like it's supposed to be
Yeah.
because that's how the show was. And so when you have an actress that's like not super great, but like you can definitely pull off like the stage acting, like the overacting, like she does great with that. And I loved her like little hand gestures and her like she sounded just like I looked up some like clips of the show and like she sounds like Lily and she does her little gestures and she did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think like in as much as it feels like one of the few roles that she isn't like she's not playing herself in any of the movies, but there's a lot of them like outside of like Baby being slightly crazy and like Devil's Rejects, she's just kind of playing like a normal person or whatever. And this
Right.
feels like one of the few roles where she's playing an actual character, and I think she pulls it off. And apparently, everyone on Letterboxd disagrees.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
all of the reviews are like, "Fuck her, this is terrible." The other two dudes are all right. And I'm like, I actually think it's the other way around. I
Yeah.
don't like Daniel Roebuck as Grandpa, and
Mm,
I I'm like 50-50 on Phillips as Herman. I think some of the times he's
I,
good, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, you are getting on my nerves.
yeah, I agree. I do agree. I do like the actor that plays the Count a lot. He did a really good job. But his character just annoyed the shit out of me. I really like the fucking dude from Barbarian, the guy that played the scientist
Oh yeah,
that makes
Richard Brake.
Herman.
Yeah,
Oh, dude, Richard Brake is like incredible.
he's he's somebody like he's the only saving grace in 31. Where like
Oh, he's in 31? Oh,
yeah,
wow. Okay.
he plays like the main bad guy in it, and in the very beginning, there's this scene that's about 4 or 5 minutes where the first like maybe 90 seconds is him delivering this monologue straight to camera, and he doesn't blink the entire time, and
Oh,
it's
shit.
like it's super creepy and really good, and it's like I think he's been in all of Rob Zombie's movies since Halloween 2, and he's always
Oh,
like
wow.
a highlight because I don't know, he brings like a weird intensity, and it was kind of awesome to see him like having fun in this because he also plays Count Orlok in it,
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
and like you could tell he's having a blast like doing that.
Yep, yep. I love special shout out to him for playing Count Orlok because like that beginning part where they're going on a date is like one of my favorite parts of the movie where he's like showing her all the pictures
Of
of
the
his rats.
rats. His two hobbies are the Black Plague and
And
pestilence or like
yeah,
whatever. She's like,
yeah.
isn't that the same thing?
And he's like, "Oh yes, it is."
Yeah, I actually
Oh yeah, it's great.
as much as I don't like the origin story aspect of it, I do kind of like that. I like that part.
Yeah.
Like I think that's fun. I like the shit with Grandpa like trying to do a spell to make her like a new husband, where like
Yeah.
it's like Gene Kelly's shoes, John Wayne's hat, and I'm like this no like I like as much as this movie I'm sure in his mind was not made for kids. I feel like
Right.
it's a movie Netflix probably targeted to a bunch of families. I'm like, no kids are gonna understand what this is.
No, no. It's definitely not like it's definitely like kid friendly. You can watch it with your kids, but like it's not supposed to be watched
Right.
by kids because like The Munsters is a show from the 60s. Okay? Like no kid gives a fuck about The
I
Munsters.
I really wonder if like because I had this talk with my friend Dylan when we covered 31, where I'm like 31 is essentially just like a gore fest movie because it feels like a movie he made after the reaction from his like regular fan base to Lords of Salem, where they're like, "What's this dog shit art movie? Give me the blood." And like
Mm,
so like it felt like a reaction to that, and I really wonder if like what his regular base that didn't like this movie wanted from it. Because, like, if this movie was made like a typical Rob Zombie movie, it would be completely unwatchable.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, even as much as I don't really care for this movie, like if he would have shot this on like 16 millimeter and it would have just been like
Uh-huh.
people spouting just the worst dialogue, because that's apparently the only way he can write, is to write like just somebody say motherfucker 800 times in a movie.
Yep.
So like I don't really like it. I don't know. Like I just think about like I feel like this movie was a outside of like him just being like this is something I desperately want to make. I think it was like a lose-lose situation because either direction he went in, I feel like half the people were going to hate it.
Right.
Because like if he went to it, like if he's doing it to like appease his base, it would have been probably completely unwatchable. And then trying to appease like people that are obsessed with the monsters was like never gonna happen because like it's impossible to remake a movie and not have everybody be like you're ruining the original for me, but you know.
Hmm.
So like I don't know, I don't really know what he could have done with this to make it like a huge hit, but I honestly don't know if he could have. I think this is just uh an intellectual property that like nobody gives a fuck now other than people that like
That
grew up on it.
right, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, unfortunately, this well, not unfortunately, I guess like this was a project for Rob Zombie,
Mm.
and like, and he, no one was asking for it. I don't think there was any push for any Munsters renaissance or anything like that. I think that Rob Zombie was just like, yeah, this is just what I like, and I'm gonna make a movie about it, and like, which is fine, like do that, but don't expect people to like run out and see it, I guess, because like no one fucking dude, I mean that show went off the air like 20 years before I was born. Like I
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
There
Like
was well
so
there was like a reboot in the 80s where it was colorized. And
oh,
then
I didn't know that. Okay.
I think like Brian Fuller did like essentially tried to make a show on TV that was like a dramatized version of it called 1313 Mockingbird Lane that I think flopped pretty hard because who wants serious monsters in like the
Right.
2000s?
Ugh,
And
no.
so like I don't know if this came down to one of those things that was like we have to do something with this or we're going to lose the rights to it. So like fuck it, I guess let Rob Zombie
Oh.
do it. Or if this
Well,
was a
and
thing
that's
he
yeah.
actively was like I'm making this, give me the rights to it, and they were just like all right, whatever.
Yeah, they're like, what? Okay, fine. Like, but see, that's the other reason why you shouldn't do a freaking origin story.
I
Because
agree.
like no like you have no one knows what the Munsters is. Like just assume that. Like no one knows who they are. So like why are you like no one gives a shit about where Lily was before she met Herman. Like because we're not like wrapped up in that show anymore. Just
I think the only way this fully works is if they did that thing where they're like, all right, this is like we're gonna do this one movie as like an origin story, and then it's just a TV show on Netflix, and you just have like you know a 10 episode TV show drop on Netflix like a month after the movie comes out, so that
right.
like you know because there's like that used to be like a big formula for TV where like you know like the Twin Peaks first episode is essentially a movie, and then it becomes you know, just the series. And they would do
Hmm.
like hour and a half pilots for shit in the 70s that would then become TV shows. And so like I feel like maybe that could have worked, but it's just like it like this leaves out all of the shit that actual people that like the monsters cared about until
Right.
the last 15 or 20 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind the last like 20 minutes like when after okay, so like make the thing that I would do is make them moving to California the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
They like for some reason they're moving to LA and they have to start their life on Mockingbird Lane. And then like have that be the beginning of the movie and have the whole story be like, oh, they saved the neighborhood or like, oh, they I don't fucking know, whatever. Like they just have their LA adventure.
I
And have them have their kid already, have them like just have all the characters, but just like make the last 20 minutes the beginning 20 minutes.
it would be so fun to see like this Herman Munster just going to like his office job
Yeah.
or like whatever dumb
Yeah.
shit they would have him do, and like Marilyn, their like regular human niece, just like going to school, and they're just like, "You're gonna be going out dressed like that," and she's just like dressed like like a normal person. I don't know. It's just
Exactly.
again, it's one of those things where the more I think about it, I'm like, I don't know. This I just don't think was ever going to be a thing that like took off because again, just nobody gives a fuck. No, not enough people care about the Munsters that this would have been made like a hit. I think it
Right.
could have gotten like some sort of like cult status eventually if like he did some things differently, but it's just like it was inevitable that like everybody was gonna hate this because it doesn't appease his crowd and it doesn't appease like the Munster fan base. I feel like the only people I know that loved this are like people who live for Spirit Halloween opening. Like that's it. Like I have a friend who was like, this is Rob Zombie's best movie, and like their entire like house is just Spirit Halloween shit. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. This looks like a Spirit
That is
Halloween as a movie.
that is so fun. That's so funny because that is so true. It does look like a freaking Spirit Halloween threw up all over that
Well,
movie.
one of like the podcasts I was listening to talked about how I guess like Rob Zombie owns a 24 or not 24-hour like a all year round Halloween store in like Los Angeles.
Well, well, of course he
And
does.
I'm like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, like of course he fucking does. Like that's cool and all. Like I'm a big horror fan, so like I totally get it. But at the same time, like that's so annoying.
I know.
Like what? Like come on. I don't know. Like maybe I'm just a hater. I don't know. I've for some reason I'm kind of a weird Rob Zombie hater because I feel like it like for me. Okay, and I might offend some horror fans listening to this. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's all we
No, I'm
do
not.
every regular episode, so.
I just feel like there's a point where you're like, okay, you have too, this is too much. Like you have too much horror stuff. You got too much going on. Like, can you like something else? Like, can you like another thing?
Yeah, I get real aggravated where, like, I hate the shit where it's like, all right, 364 more days till Halloween, and I'm just like, shut up.
Right.
Go.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
I know.
please
I hate
have
that.
another hobby in life or something else you care about. It's like the people that like we at least like once a month get a follower on Instagram that's like their entire feed is just like them dressed up as like Ghostface. And I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
man. Like I get it. Like the first Scream's pretty good, but like why are you like so obsessed with this franchise that like this is you have 8,000 posts of just you and Ghostface shit. Like, go
Right.
away.
I know. If hey, like I go to horror conventions and stuff and like I'll take pictures or whatever. But like I'm not buying the fucking replica Chuckies, and like sitting them next to my bed. Like I'm not, and I'm not like spending thousands of dollars on like, fucking my Bloody Valentine costume. Like shut God, come on, people. Like god damn.
I
Like
I I genuinely try to be like just enjoy what you enjoy, but there's sometimes I come across like an account where I'm like, you are doing too much. Like,
I know.
please stop. Like,
I know. Sorry, y'all out there who
or
fit that description, but I
there's
think you're doing too much.
it's also one of those things that like it's one of the things that's like it's essentially like the less problematic version of like the people that are obsessed with serial killers. Or
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, you
Yeah.
know what? Like there's a lot of people that are just like obsessed with like Laurie Strode as a character or Sydney or like whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like the people that are obsessed with like the killers in these movies, I'm like, you're giving real like true crime. Well, they're also probably the same people that are only listen to like true crime podcasts, but I'm like, you
That
you
yeah.
need to go to therapy, I think.
I know. I tell people all the time, I'm a horror fan. I'm not a true crime fan. Like, don't come at me with your fucking. I have like friends who have like bumper stickers of like, mug shots of Ted
Right.
Bundy or like, number one hottie or whatever. And I'm like, guys,
Yeah, I hate that shit.
stop. Like, fucking
I
stop.
I can get into a like truly well done like documentary or whatever,
Oh, sure,
but like
sure,
God, man,
definitely.
I can't handle the fucking podcasts that are making money off this
I
shit,
know.
like, or just in general, like the Ryan Murphy shit, where I'm like, as much as like I feel like watching Evan Peters as like Dahmer is probably he's probably great in it, but I'm like, I don't know, you fucking actively ignored the wishes of the family, so why am I gonna watch this?
I watched like two episodes of that show and I could not
It just seems
get
like
through it.
it just seems so unpleasant to like.
It is. It is. It's like fucking Devil's Rejects, but 10 episodes of that. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it's so uncomfortable, it's so disturbing, it's so bad, it's so
And
gross, and it's just
you
like,
don't get
ew.
Bill Mosley saying insane shit. So
I know.
what
I know.
what
And also,
well, okay, go
oh,
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, finish your thought.
Well, okay, I was just gonna say, wrapping back around to the Munsters, fucking Bill Mosley's not in it, and
I know.
I was very sad.
I have
So,
come because like I think my biggest gripe with Rob Zombie as a filmmaker is that I think he needs either somebody to edit him in real life where they just are on set and they're like, you're doing too much, stop. Or
mm,
like he needs someone to like write his scripts for him
mm,
because like outside of I think Bill Mosley and Sid Haig, I Richard Brake could do it a little bit, but Richard Brake sometimes is kind of that just like Rob Zombie's like cringiness breaks through. I think Bill Mosley
yeah,
specifically though is the only person that could convincingly deliver Rob Zombie's like cringe dialogue because everything
agreed.
he says in like those Firefly trilogies, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I believe this character is real. And then almost everything everyone else says, I'm like, this sounds forced. Like
Yeah, I agree.
all of like Chris Hardwick's dialogue in House of a Thousand Corpses, I'm like, this sucks. Like, this is so bad. But then Bill Mosley comes up and just like says something absolutely unhinged, and you're like, yeah, I believe this. I believe this is a real person.
Well, and that's just like that's like a testament to Bill Mosley as an actor. Like, okay, because he does the same thing in Repo, the Genetic Opera. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time, and like he plays such a like the character that he plays is like unlike any human being on the planet, but for some reason like you just fucking believe him. Like you just believe that he's real because he just can say the most crazy shit, and you're like, yep,
Yeah.
like that is true.
Like there's literally times in like Three from Hell where I'm like, God, this dialogue sucks, but it's like Bill Mosley delivers it so convincingly that I'm like on board with
Yeah.
it.
I
And
know.
like,
He's the reason why I watch half of these fucking Rob Zombie movies, you know?
oh yeah,
Like,
he's one of those people that like we've picked movies where I'm like, this looks like garbage, but I don't know. Bill Mosley's in it, or like Lance Henriksen's in it, or something. So
yep.
like maybe it'll be good, and then it's always just like a 15-minute cameo or 15-second cameo, and we're like, God damn it! Like we watched some movie about a like train car that falls into like a lake or some shit, and people are trapped in it solely because Lance Henriksen was like the like casted as like the like top name above the title, and
Oh my God,
he's
yes.
in like the end for like 2 minutes, and we are like, God damn it, you got us again.
God, I will never forgive Fede Alvarez for not having Lance Henriksen in Alien
I
Romulus.
know. I was
I'll never forgive him.
we did that as like a bonus episode,
I
and
know, I listened to
yeah,
it.
and I was like, you could have avoided all of this AI shit completely
Yep.
if you had just had Lance Henriksen's robot in it instead. We're like, do like the Marvel de-aging on his face if you need to, or whatever.
Sure.
But like,
Sure.
God, it would have looked so much better and been less
Yep.
problematic if you had just done that.
Yeah, well, surprise, surprise, they didn't win the Academy Award, so
I when I found out that like there was like best visual effects Alien Romulus, I was like, come on.
I know. I laughed. I was like, oh, so this is the state of the Oscars now. That's fucking great.
Like
It's always been a joke. It's fine.
for the most part, everything else in that movie looks fine. But
Oh,
like
sure.
I was
Yeah.
like, man, I was like, this should be disqualified solely on this fucking Ash robot.
Yeah. I mean, I really, he did a lot of practical effects too, which I really
Yeah.
appreciate. But that fucking Ian Holm shit, God, I know that's not this podcast, but Jesus Christ.
I don't know. We talk about like how Rob Zombie could make an alien movie.
Dude, that sounds awesome. Like,
Just fucking, it's the 70s in space for some reason. Like
yeah,
everyone's
the
on this,
70.
everyone's on a space station in bell bottoms and shit.
Oh my God, that'd be so great.
Um,
There's at least one person that has to have a cowboy hat on.
yeah, oh yeah, like they're. I think it was it was in Three from Hell that like when they go to Mexico, the guy that runs that little town they're in is wearing one of Rob Zombie's actual hats. And I
Oh
was
my
like, "Yep,
God.
I believe it. That looks like one of his
Yep.
hats." What do you think about Lily and Herman singing "I Got You, Babe" in this?
Ugh, okay, that was my least favorite part of this movie. I hated it.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't. Okay, here's the thing. I don't like that song.
Yeah, same.
Um,
Unless
Not a fan
Beavis
of the
and
song.
Butthead are singing it with Cher, I am out.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I don't like the song. I don't like how Sherry Moon sounds
Yeah.
in that. Like they like auto-tuned her,
Oh yeah.
I guess.
I'm sure.
I mean,
Like,
you know.
well, it's clear that like when she's singing, it's that thing where they layer like 10 versions of her voice on it.
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
like, and I get, like, the joke is that, like, Herman is singing it specifically bad. But I'm like,
Right.
I think if it was, like, the first verse and chorus, okay, I'll go for it. They play the entire song.
They do
And,
play the entire song. I watched this movie twice before we talked about it, and I was watching it today, and I'm like, oh my God, they really do the entire fucking
it,
song.
one of my things doing all these movies is every movie except for his animated one is an hour 45 to over 2 hours. And I'm like, you could
Wow.
cut, like, 20 minutes out of all of these movies at least. And it's shit like that where I'm like, you don't need to play the entire song outside of the fact that you then printed it like a 7-inch of it to sell. And I
Right.
really wonder if the idea was like, I'm gonna put this whole thing in there because if people love it, they're gonna go buy this record.
Ugh, yeah, yeah, you're probably right. I hope that's not the case, but like, yeah, you're probably right. I think that like you can have that scene and still have it be like, oh, we're doing karaoke and like it's fun or whatever. But yeah, just like cut that shit in half. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need the entire song. Just do
Like,
one verse, one chorus, and like fucking fade
yeah, and
out, you
then you
know?
can just play like the rest in the credits. Like play the whole thing in the credits if you need to. Like
Exactly. Record the song if you want, whatever. Record the whole thing. Just have it on the credits.
also for real,
Yeah,
how's Dracula not in this?
dude. I
He should have had
yeah,
that instead of singing "I Got You, Babe." They should have been singing Dracula to each other.
Okay, you know the songs that I do like though in this are the fucking when at the end of Lily and Count Orlok's date, Orlok like takes her back to his place and he like starts playing this like EDM like
Right.
vampire like clubbing music and it just says I think it just says something like like it's just like vampire or whatever and like it was so fucking funny.
I I kind of wish this entire movie just had him, like Richard Brake, as Orlok in it throughout.
Yes,
Like,
dude. Orlok was the first like 10 minutes of the movie, and I was just like, just need him. I just
yeah,
need Orlok.
just
Like,
just do like a side movie that's just the Orlok story.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
let Rob Zombie make fucking Nosferatu.
What did you think of Lester, the
It's
brother?
fine. Like
Like I
I
don't
I like when we talked
that
about
whole subplot annoyed me.
when we talked about 31, I was like, oh, this movie sucks, but I don't know. I guess Rob Zombie cast some black people for once. It's not Ken Foray. So
Yeah, right.
like at least there was a person of color in this movie because he
Covered in werewolf
right.
makeup.
But it's like
Like,
I can't look at werewolves anymore without thinking about like Titus and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt dressed up as a werewolf. And
oh my
that's
God.
all I wanted every time Lester was on screen was for it to be that werewolf.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I don't know, that's another thing in this movie where I'm like, this is like a subplot that like I don't need. I don't need there to be an answer as to why they have to move. Like
Right.
just they're just fucking something. Herman breaks their castle. They got to move, so they move to Mockingbird Lane, and I don't need an
Exactly.
explanation as to why they have money.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't need this whole like, you know, ex-wife, ex-girlfriend like scorned is like trying to buy their castle. Like, I don't need that.
They're
Like,
like I appreciate that he likes to give his friends work because
sure.
like I've kind of been relating him a lot to like he's like the horror version of like Kevin Smith where like he just likes to work with his friends. He
Yeah.
keeps getting work because his movies always bring in like a profit eventually. Like
Hmm.
he's just somebody that like he's just out here making the movies he wants to make, and if you like him you like him, if you don't you don't. He's still just like he's like say whatever you want about the quality of what you think of his movies are, but he is making, at least within studio bounds, the movies he wants to make. And like if like, he's kind of not, he doesn't give a shit if you like him or not, he's just going to make them. And so
Right.
like I do respect him as an artist, and I respect that like he if he likes working with you, you will be in every movie he makes. And
Right.
like schedule permitted. Like he liked working with Richard Brake on Halloween 2. Richard Brake has been in every movie. He cast Jeffrey Dean Phillips or Jeff Daniel Phillips. Yeah, Jeff Daniel Phillips.
J yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because Rob Zombie is apparently a massive fan of the Geico Caveman commercials,
Oh my God,
which
that's
is
so
the
funny.
funniest fucking thing I've ever heard. Like, I listened to the commentary for Halloween 2, and that's the first movie he appears in, and he was like, yeah, like, I really think those commercials are funny, and so I was like, I gotta get this guy in my movie, and I was like, wait, that's the last thing I expected to hear you say. But, so he became such a fan of working with Phillips that Phillips has become, like, essentially a main character in all of his movies following Halloween 2. And
Right.
so like I don't know, I do respect him as somebody that's just like, hey, if I like you, you are going to have work when I make a movie, assuming you're not like doing something else already. Like he
Yeah, I really,
constantly tries to bring Malcolm McDowell back, but
oh
he's
sure.
constantly working. Like Bill Moseley, for the most part, pops up in most things, even if it's just like a small little cameo.
Hmm.
So like, and the guy that plays Lester, he worked with on 31. So I do like that he at least brought that actor back, but that entire plot line I could do without.
Yeah, I wasn't super like invested in that. Like I don't know. I it was fine, I guess. And if you want to have a subplot where like they have to have some reason to leave, I guess that's fine, but like it just made the movie a little too long. And like an hour and 50 minutes is a fucking lot
Well, literally,
for
like,
for
oh no, yeah,
this.
no comedy should be over 90 minutes. Is my take.
Right,
I think
exactly.
Judd Apatow fucked that up by making all these like 2 hour comedies that were like received well. So now,
Right.
well, that and like like comic book movies have made everyone think that everything needs to be over 2 hours, and
That
no,
is the most insane like movie
I
trend
know I hate like
in like
no comedy should be over 90 minutes, and honestly, no horror movie unless it's like a like slow burn sort of like
e
thing,
yeah.
or like like I'll watch the shit out of a 2+ hour alien movie because there's xenomorphs on screen. But like
There.
there's
Yeah.
like when I see like the Terrifier movies or whatever, I'm like, why the fuck is this over 2 hours?
Yeah, and that's why I haven't seen any of those movies. Well, that's not why, but like that's a big part of why I have not seen any of those movies because fuck you,
Yeah,
Damien Leone. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna watch your 2 hour and 28 minute gore fest. I'm
yeah,
sorry. Like, that's
absolutely.
disgusting.
There's nothing I want to do less.
Yeah,
Like
no, thank you.
I really think you could literally even just do the like villagers burn down their house because it's a Frankenstein monster thing, and that's why they have to
Yeah, there you go.
literally like there you go. 15 minutes in, boom, you're at Mockingbird Lane. Like
Exactly,
it's
exactly. And then you can have your adventure on Mockingbird Lane where your fans know them to be like, you know what I mean?
and
Like just
you could even do like the Orlok stuff in like flashbacks as like, oh, do you
sure.
remember like whatever, and get
Or
some of
hey,
that
like
origin story stuff.
Orlok also moved to LA and he's like a weird ex and like won't leave her alone or something. I don't know. Like just have some like you could I don't know. There just a million things you could do that's not an origin story
You
that would be more interesting.
I think it would be funny if this movie takes place in Hollywood and it's just the idea that like all of these monsters for movies are like actually real,
Oh
and
yeah,
like
that'd
they're
be
just
great.
in Hollywood living amongst like regular people, and like
Right.
but they also have to like stay like somewhat hidden, where like I don't know, people are just like,
Mm,
oh, that guy takes his role too seriously, he's still in costume, or like whatever, something there's a way you could like write yourself around all that shit, and
exactly.
like just make this like slightly better. And I
Hmm.
don't know. It's one of those things where like I would be interested in a sequel that actually now is taking place in like the what would feel like just an hour and a half version of a Munsters episode. But like
Right.
I can't imagine that's gonna happen at this point.
I do really like also I will say their use Rob Zombie uses a lot of wipes in
Right.
this movie and it's all like it's like the shape of a bat or a lightning bolt or whatever. And I do think that is really cool and it reminds me of old TV. Uh Kind of reminds me of like Batman or something,
Yeah,
like old
there's
Batman.
I think he does interesting things with like editing from getting from scene to scene. Like in 31, he does sort of like what feels like he's doing like comic book panel cutting, where
Oh yeah.
a scene will end and it'll freeze frame and the entire scene moves up as the next scene moves in, or it'll move from like side to side or whatever. And it was like one of the aspects of 31 that I was like positive on, where I'm like, yeah, like it feels like he's trying something different, and it like gives it like a almost like comic book kind of feel to it. And so
Hmm.
like this and those like transfers from scene to scene I did appreciate. And like I do appreciate that he shot it very much in the style where it feels like 66 Batman a lot, because there's a lot of like Dutch angles and just
Yes.
kind of like weird like shots on characters that gives it that feel.
Yeah, there's a lot of like wacky stuff going on, which I like. There's a lot of wacky stuff with the soundtrack too. It sounds very like like not kiddie, but it sounds like very, old school sitcom score.
Yeah,
And I
I
really like that.
actually don't know who did the score for this, but I think like his scores are usually pretty well done. And I think he works with there's a guy named Zeus on this that did his last three movies.
Oh, nice.
But like
Okay.
I think like John Five, his like guitar player in his like just Rob Zombie band, did like Lords of Salem, and the score to that is super good. Like I think in general he's pretty good with score. He clearly also kind of picks the worst 70s classic rock songs, which luckily aren't in this, but
Oh,
like
yeah.
like all of his movies end with like them playing the entirety of like some classic rock song. And I'm like, all right, man, can you just cut like 5 minutes out of this? Like I think
Yeah.
Freebird in The Devil's Rejects is like the only one I give a pass to, because it works so well with like that final scene of like the shootout with the police.
I
And
was gonna say that. I was gonna
like
say like that all except Freebird. Like that's a
yeah,
good that
I
was fine. Even
I
though Freebird fucking don't even get me
yeah,
started.
I hate that song. And when I was talking with somebody in one of these episodes where I was like, the only context I ever want to hear Freebird in is like the end of that movie.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he ends
Exactly.
31 with like Dream On, but like luckily it's not the whole thing. But it's another thing where he's just playing this like recontextualizing some like classic rock song over like fake old home movies of like the people in the movie. And I'm like, come on, man, you've done this like 10 times, please do anything else.
Yeah, I think that the music in Munsters is really good. Honestly, I feel like that my you know some of my I think what surprised me the most, I should say, is the jokes in this movie were like some of them were pretty fucking funny. Uh that surprised me.
I I don't know. I like
They were
there's
getting me. I was laughing.
the one joke, I can't remember if I said it on recording or if it was before, but where like Herman and Grandpa are yelling at each other, and all of a sudden Grandpa's in his
Yeah.
face, and he's like keeps yelling, and he's like, "Why are you yelling?" He's like, "I don't know. I thought you liked this." That one caught me off guard, and I was like, "All right, that's pretty good." But I think like for the boat, like I don't know. I think Rob Zombie is a desperately unfunny person.
Sure.
like
Well,
like
yeah.
his animated movie, the Haunted World of El Super Beasto, is one of the least funny things I've ever seen. But I don't know if it's like because him and Tom Papaw are like credited as the writers, and Tom Papaw is like a stand-up comedian, and I really feel like that
Yeah.
movie is like, I think Rob Zombie was like, here's my plot, just see if you can add some jokes, and he adds like the
Okay.
worst Family Guy style jokes throughout it,
Oh.
that it's just like 100 jokes a minute and they're all unfunny. And so this I do think is better on like a comedy aspect, but I don't think any of them were jokes outside of that one that like actively made me laugh. But there's some stuff in it that I was like, that's clever, or like whatever.
I really like when Lily meets Herman for the first time and she's asking him out and he's like trying to be cool and he's like, "Oh yeah, let me like check my schedule." And he just has like a piece of paper with Lily and Herman with a heart
Right.
like written on it. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I think I could like pencil you in or whatever." And it made me think of that scene in Barbie where Margot Robbie asks Ken to like be her whatever boyfriend and Ken's like goes around the corner, shuts the door, and says like "sublime."
Yeah, like he
And
does
that,
the same thing in this, where like
yeah,
he's like
it's
playing cool and then closes the door, and you can hear him like yelling in excitement the second the
yeah,
door closes.
yeah. And I just what I think, and it's not even that that joke is necessarily so funny. It's just that I don't know what facial expression he's doing, but like his face is so funny in that moment. He's like trying to be all cool, but he's like really nervous, and just the look on his face just made me laugh so hard because like. And honestly, that's what it is. I feel like a lot of, at least with Herman's jokes, is like he's got so much makeup on and he looks so silly that his face is just silly to look at. So the jokes might not even be that funny, but like his face is like hilarious though, because he's just this big green guy
Yeah,
and he's just like this big dope.
I'll say as much as I don't know fully how I feel about his performance as Herman. I think he can do the facial expressions pretty well.
Absolutely.
Like he can
Absolutely.
pull off a convincing Herman, but some of the time throughout I'm like, this feels like somebody that's like doing like the really intense cosplay. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know how you get past that, because it's like you're not like, it's just one of those roles that was like iconic enough that you're just like, I don't know, you're not Fred Gwynn, so this doesn't work for me. But
Right.
I think he does the laugh pretty well,
Me too.
despite like it gets really aggravating for an hour and 40 minutes, where like I feel like there's a reason the show was only 30 minutes, you know. Like
Hmm.
some of
Well,
these
luckily,
characters you
yeah,
shouldn't be
yeah.
spending that much time with.
Right. And I think luckily he actually doesn't do it as much as I would have thought he would, but the times he does do it, I'm like, okay. All right.
I
Let's okay.
I do like the joke that it's like there's like a news report towards the beginning of the movie that's like, world famous scientist that died yesterday, his stand up comedian brother also died today. Only a true idiot would confuse the two, and blah
Yeah.
blah blah. And you find out that's like Igor or whoever it is, like stole the wrong brain from like the comedian instead for this
Okay, can we
fucking
talk about
Frankenstein monster.
we need to talk about that because a lot of the I was reading Letterboxd reviews last night and so many of them were like, this fucking sucks. Like Rob Zombie he like blatantly stole this bit from Young Frankenstein and the switching the brain thing. And I was like, and I did notice that, and I was thinking that when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's just like Young Frankenstein, ha ha ha. But I wasn't bothered by it as much as I thought I would be. And I was reading these reviews and I was like, man, people are really upset about like this whole brain taking, subplot because like it's so much like Young Frankenstein. But like I just kind of saw it as like an homage, I
Yeah,
guess.
he's somebody that like very clearly wears his influences on his sleeve. Where like,
Absolutely.
and
He's like Tarantino.
yeah,
Like,
he's not afraid to say like very specifically like, oh yeah, this was like something I saw in like The Hills Have Eyes, so I wanted to like
right.
homage it or like do the same thing or whatever. And like oh, The Simpsons did the same shit when they had like at a Treehouse of Horror where like Mr. Burns puts like Homer's brain in a giant robot. Like everybody has done that fucking joke. Like
Right,
it's not
exactly.
just Young Frankenstein.
Right. And
like
and that's
like
kind of yeah,
as like
that's kind of what I thought.
literally fucking Robert Eggers has talked about that like so much of the shit in Nosferatu was inspired by Dracula Dead loving it.
Oh,
That
that's so
that he
funny.
well he said it, he was like in the way he's like I love that movie because it taught me all of the things that like everyone thinks is goofy about like vampires. And so I was able to
Yes.
like avoid some of that stuff and it's just like yeah, like just like art in general at this point like there's very few things that are like truly a 100% original thing.
Hmm.
Everything has been done at this point to the point where it's just like everything is essentially somebody is like some other story as like a kickoff point for whatever somebody's making. So it's like you just have to like
Absolutely.
acknowledge that shit and just like be like, yeah, this is clearly like somebody wanted to make like a horror movie and like their story is just based around like King Lear or fucking whatever.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
Absolutely.
That does not bother me in like the slightest. I
No.
honestly probably wouldn't have even put it together without like that pointing it out.
Yeah, I just noted, like I said, I didn't even really, I was like, oh, that's kind of like Young Frankenstein, haha. And then I was reading the reviews and I was like, oh shit, people are like pissed about
Now, like
this. Uh,
looking through like his reviews on Letterboxd, it's like I do think, and like I said, like I was one of those people. I think a lot of people are like really unfair just because they are just like I don't like him, so like I'm going
yeah,
to make sure all of his movies, like I just rate all of them badly, and like like I said at the beginning, like all the reviews I saw were like Sherry is unwatchable, and I'm like I actually thought she was like the best part of this movie,
agreed.
and
Yeah, I don't
like
know what they're talking about.
I just like I think. And like I said, I was one of those people for a while until like I started rewatching these, and I was like, actually, I was like really way too harsh on like most of these movies, where I think he, again, like I said, he's just a dude who's just making the shit he wants to make with his friends, and it's like
Hmm.
I can't hate on that. I can dislike some of the movies for what they are, and also not just be like fuck you and fuck your dumb wife or like what like just let
Right.
let like I wish people could get to a point where like or just realize that not everything has to be for them. And
Right. Well, not everything, exactly. Not everything has to be for everybody either.
yeah,
Like Rob Zombie makes shit for like a very niche, the very, like very specific group of people. And that's fine for him and that's fine for them. And like, that's not me. I'm not his audience, that's for sure. But I still respect what he does. And like, I'm not a very big fan of him, but like, whatever, like, I don't care.
yeah. I think like general nerd culture and like specifically Star Wars is really like the Star Wars fandom is really like fucked up everybody to where they're just like this isn't what I want, so I'm making it everyone's problem. And
Yeah.
like I wish people could just watch a movie and be like, yeah, that wasn't for me. I didn't like it, but there's so many movies that I could watch and just be like, yeah, I could see why people like this, but this is just something I think is terrible. And
Yeah.
I don't need to be like, hey, everyone who made this should be killed. Unless you're Eli Roth.
Ooh, yeah, yeah,
just,
Eli Roth is
just,
a different story.
just throw Eli Roth in a volcano and get it over with.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I cannot stand that guy.
Yeah,
Ugh.
same. Do you have any last things on the Munsters that you want to talk
Oh,
about?
let's see. Let's see okay, what did I want to talk about? I think I covered everything. I honestly, closing thoughts, honestly, I liked it more than I thought I would. And uh, I can't like fully, well, I guess I could recommend it. Like, I don't know, if you're listening to this and you've thought about checking it out, like, I don't know, it's not like there are there are worse things to waste your time on. Uh, but it's not for everybody, and if you don't know about the Munsters or don't like the Munsters, then obviously, like, it's probably not for you. Uh, but yeah, I thought it was like pretty cool, and I don't know, I'll watch the next Rob Zombie thing that comes out. Fuck it.
Yeah, I think after rewatching these movies, I am back on board with like if he makes something else, I will check it out because like I hit whatever point after the Halloween movies where it's like, yeah, I don't think I need to like I get it. I don't need to watch these. But rewatching these stuff, I so far I've only had two of them where I was like, I actively do not like this, and almost everything else I've been like, this is either fine or like pretty good. So
Yeah, yeah. So like I mean, whatever, go for it. If you've got 2 hours to kill and you want to watch like a spooky, fun, like full of dad jokes movie,
right.
yeah, I mean it's pretty all right.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, I think this is one of those ones where I'm like, I don't think he was going to be able to like appease everybody.
Um,
So
Right.
it's just is what it is. Like if you're a diehard Munsters fan, you're probably gonna hate this. If you're somebody that just casually knows what they are, you might like it. So give it a watch if
Yeah.
you're at all interested. I guess it's on
Yeah,
Netflix.
for
Everybody has
sure.
Netflix. Just it's free. So
Yeah, if you yeah, exactly. You've got Netflix, so fuck it. Do it.
um. All right. Do you have like anything you want to plug while you're here?
Um Honestly, no, I don't really have anything going on right now. I'm if you know me or whatever, recognize my voice. I used to do podcasts and I'm trying to get another one off the ground at some point. So, I guess I'm on Instagram if you want to follow me there for updates, I don't know, or don't.
Yeah.
Uh but yeah, no, just kind of watching the world burn right now. So,
Yeah, picked the wrong time to decide to dive into Rob Zombie's filmography. Was the world is everything's just bad.
yep, yep, everything's bad.
um,
So,
all right, thank you for coming on talking about the old Rob Zombies, the Munsters with me.
yeah, of course, I had a great
Yeah.
time. I will come back anytime.
All right. I hope I got nothing for this movie. I don't know. I don't even know how to end this one. I hope you suffer, but
I
why?
hope I hope you suffer.
Yeah.